So it's been a little while since I've done any sort of lesson or idea type video, and I kind of felt like sharing something today. And I can see that the sun is glaring right through here, so I apologize for that. But basically what I wanted to share today is this cool idea that you can explore that basically is in the realm of solo guitar type playing, okay? And there's lots of stuff you can do with solo guitar, but this is just one thing, okay? So if I had to compare this to anything, I'd say that it kind of relates to the whole Lenny Bro style approach. And if you don't know who Lenny Bro is, he's a great jazz guitar player, and he kind of popularized this thing where he would play quarter notes just using very simple two-note chords using thirds and sevenths with his ring and middle finger, and then he would use the other two fingers to play melodies on top of them. Okay, so he's basically comping for himself, and it's simple, the rhythm, but it's effective because it's consistent. It's like a consistent pulse, and when it's done in a clean way with the melodies happening on top of it, between that and the melody, it creates this nice rhythmic interplay that sounds really cool. The fact that you're doing it all by yourself on the guitar, okay, you're basically comping for yourself. All right, so it's similar to that, but the difference would be, number one, primarily that the rhythm that I'm doing is different and it's a little bit more polyrhythmic, and I'm not just playing thirds and sevenths for all the chords that I'm using, okay? Sometimes I am, but I'll be doing other two-note voicings as well, okay? So the melody, or the song that I chose to do this with, is the Thelonious Monk song Blue Monk, which is basically a very simple blues in B flat, all right? Now, before you even do any of this stuff, it's important to know the melody. So, I mean, I played it before, but I'll just play through the melody again, just so you can kind of get it in your head. It's basically... Okay, and the blues, it's a basic 12-bar blues in B flat. But let me just kind of play through the chords, not the voicings I'm going to be using, but just regular shell voicings, just so you can kind of see how it relates to the original blues form. So the first measure, same, just one chord, B flat 7. Measure 2 is the 4 chord, E flat 7. Now measure 3 goes back to the 1, but he does this thing where it's like 1, 5, 1. So B flat, F7, B flat, which is the start of measure 4 then. Okay, then measure 5, he goes to the 4 chord as you expect, the E flat 7. Then measure 6 is that diminished passing chord to E diminished 7. Then measure 7 is 7 and 8 are going to be just like 3 and 4, where he's like B flat, F7, B flat. Okay, then the turnaround, the last 4 measures, he goes to the 5 chord for 2 measures, F7, then F7 again, he just stays on the 5, then he just goes to 1. And I'll do like this. Now, here I'll go 1, 5, 1, but in relation to what I'm going to be doing with the comping, I'm going to do that 1, 5, 1, but the 5 is going to come in the last measure, so it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, alright? So that's the chord structure, alright? Now, rhythmically, this is what we're going to be doing, okay, in terms of what I'm going to be doing for the comping for myself part of it, alright? The rhythm that I'm going to be implementing is going to be what you might call a displaced quarter note. So what that basically is this. Let's just say you thought of eighth note triplets, like you're just counting that out, where it was 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a, alright? So you have 12 total notes in that, okay? Now, you can group things in certain numbers of notes and accent the first one. So basically, let's say you grouped the eighth note triplets in 2 notes at a time, and you only accented the first one. So you're basically just accenting every other note. Basically, if you count that, it would be like this: 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. All right. Now, if you wrote that out and you saw where those accents fell, you would see that you basically have 3 accents per half a measure, or you have 6 total hits per measure. But if you divide it in half, that's 3. So that's basically what a quarter note triplet is. It's a half a measure evenly divided into 3 beats. That's how you can think of it. Now the difference is what the rhythm we're going to be doing here is we're just going to displace that over a note. So instead of accenting the first triplet of the measure, we're going to start on the second triplet. So that would be like this, basically 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. And as you go through the form, that is the same thing every measure. And you just want to notice the pattern, how it's starting on the middle triplet on the first beat, and then the next beat it's the first and second, so it's kind of alternating. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and alright? So basically, for comping, we're just going to apply that rhythm to the chords. So the chords that I'm using, the voicing, so for B flat, sometimes I'll play this. Basically, it's the 7th and the root. For E flat 7, I'm going to play this. It's basically the 3rd of E flat 7, and then the 5th. Back to B flat, same voicing, and then for the F7, I'll play this 7 and 3rd, and then I'll go down here for the B flat 7. So this is a little different. It's the 3rd and 7th of B flat. Okay, then for E flat 7, I'll play that same voicing again, 3rd and 5th. Then for the E diminished, I'll play this, which is the 3rd and diminished 7th of E diminished. Then for B flat, again, same thing. B flat 7, F7, B flat 7, okay? Then for the turnaround, for the first measure of F7, I'll play this. So I brought the note, the 3rd down. It's 3rd, 7th, and then for the next measure of F7, I'll play this. I'll bring the 3rd back up again, and then for the B flat, I'll play this or this back to the F7 and then to the B flat, alright? Now just so you know, the reason why I'm playing different voicings sometimes for the B flat 7 and for the F7 is really mainly for one reason, and that's because I'm going to be accommodating the melody that's going to be happening on top of it. So if the melody note is lower than the highest note of the chord, it's not going to work. So I'll alter the chord a little bit so that the notes all fall underneath the melody, alright? So the first thing you want to be able to do is to be able to play these chords with the correct rhythm through the form before even adding the melody. So in the beginning I didn't actually play it with the metronome, but I'll put on a little drum track. And when you do this, obviously you want to start slow, okay? So just playing the chords through, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and okay, so I messed up some of the chords a little bit, but hopefully you can get the general gist of what it is. What I wanted you to hear more than even making sure I got the chords correct was making sure that you can hear how it's applying to the rhythm and it's fitting within the form, okay? You're trying to train your ears to hear this rhythm and just apply the chords that fit naturally, alright? So once you kind of get that, then the next step, and this is the hard part, is applying the melody to it, alright? Now, I'm not going to take the time right now to just go through it measure by measure. I'm kind of just presenting the idea for you here, and you can put the work in, but, you want to spend some time with this. It's not easy, and it's a very simple sounding thing. It's not a whole lot what I'm doing here, but naturally, in order to get it correct and to get it to sound good, it takes a lot of practice, and you definitely want to start slow with this, as slow as you need to. And I'm telling you now, like, if this is something that you want to explore and try to perfect, it's not going to sound good if you half-ass this approach. It really needs to be perfect in order for it to sound good. If you're hitting chords on like the wrong beats and stuff like that, it's not going to produce the same effect. Because the whole reason why this sounds good is because the chords are like hitting in that consistent pulse, no matter what rhythm you choose to play them in. Another thing to consider too is, you know, the melody is going to be always happening on top of it again. So, if, as best as you can, you want to be making sure the melody is coming through clear and, if possible, louder than the chords that you're comping underneath it. So even when there's a part where I'm not really playing a melody and the chords are just kind of holding it down, I may intentionally pluck the chords a little light, because you want to kind of create the effect where the chords are kind of in the background and the melody is cutting through, happening on top of it, alright? So, you know, you just really want to practice this. And one thing that you'll notice, I will say this though, is as you go through the measures, okay, this particular melody, this song Blue Monk, it's basically in eighth notes. It doesn't have any like lower subdivision. It doesn't get to the level of 16th notes or nothing like that in terms of where the melody's hitting. So the parts where you have like those streams of eighth notes, which is like the whole thing, like that, for example, understand that that's happening through swung eighth notes, which is basically related to the triplet anyway. So basically it's like 1 and 2 and 3, yeah, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and right? So basically what the point of why I'm saying this is because whenever you're playing the chords that are falling on that middle triplet, you're never gonna have a melody note that's gonna fall on that, because it almost doesn't exist. It's just you're swinging eighth notes. You're not playing any triplets. So whenever the chord is hitting on that middle triplet, there should never be a melody note that hits with that. So basically, whenever you're playing chords, they can either be falling in between the melody notes or with them on the first and third triplet. So that's what you want to keep in mind, alright? So I guess I'll leave you with just doing it again, and this time I'll play it with the metronome. I hope I get it correct. And I'll go slow. So just try and listen and pay attention to what I'm doing, alright? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I definitely messed up a little bit of that in the turnaround. Maybe I'll just do the turnaround again. 3, 2, 3. Okay. Again, not the best, but I got it pretty good in the beginning, so if you want to hear it again, go back to the beginning of the video. And again, I'm just trying to present the idea for you of how you can take these cool polyrhythmic groupings. This is just one example, and you could basically, you know, play melodies over them. And it takes a lot of dedication and practice, but if you spend the time with it, the results will definitely pay off. So I hope you enjoy and have a good day.